Stephanie here with a video for my favorite things. In today's video, I'm going to be recreating this card that was designed by design team member Barbara using products from the new February 2017 release. So to start off, we are going to do our denim stamping. So I'm using the new denim background stamp and I'm using some cornflower dye ink along with a piece of Blue Breeze cardstock. The plan for this card is to do a paper piecing of a dress for the newest Pure Innocence girl stamp, and we want it to look like denim. So we're going to use the stamp to create the denim first, and then we're going to stamp the girl on top and paper piece everything together. So I added the ink directly onto the stamp, and then I laid my cardstock panel over top, and I'm just using my fingers to apply even pressure all over the cardstock panel, and that's going to transfer that ink right onto my cardstock piece here. So you can see I have this really cool denim look, and because we used the blue ink on top of blue cardstock, it made it look even more realistic. So now we're going to use the new Happy Together stamp set. This is the newest Pure Innocence stamp set, and we're going to stamp the girl image onto this denim background that we've created. So I'm using black licorice hybrid ink to do all of my stamping, and I'm just going to ink her up and then I'm just going to stamp her. You can stamp her anywhere on the background, it doesn't matter, because really all we want is her dress area. So we're going to end up cutting that out and just using the little dress piece. So I have her stamped, and then I'm also going to stamp her a couple of more times onto white cardstock. And this is going to be the base of her, so the bottom image that I just stamped there is going to be the main image that we paper piece on top of. But then I also need a separate arm because we're going to kind of cut her apart and piece her back together. So I'm going to stamp her a second time, and I didn't like how that one stamped, so I ended up stamping it another time there. And we're just going to use the arm off that top image. So I used my Copic colors to color in the images, and I'm not worrying about her dress because we're going to piece that together with the denim background. And I didn't even need to color her one arm there. I didn't really realize when I was coloring that I was going to end up covering that up anyway. So I did color it, but you don't need to. You just need to concentrate coloring her hair, her face, and then her legs, as well as her shoes and the little birdie and the flowers, because the dress and her right arm are going to be completely covered with the paper piecing that we're going to do. So I just used some skin colored Copics for her skin area. I used some browns for her hair. I colored the little birdie red just for a pop of color. I did her shoes with some gray colors, and then the little flowers I did with yellow. And then that is going to finish the coloring, and then we can go ahead and start to cut out the pieces that we're going to piece together. So I like to use a smaller size pair of scissors to do any kind of fussy cutting like this, just because the images are relatively small, and using smaller scissors just helps you control a little bit more and cut around those small areas. So when I cut out the dress, I didn't worry about the collar part on the top because we're going to leave the white collar showing on the stamped image. And I also didn't worry about the little edge on her sleeve because that's going to be on the little stamped arm that we're going to cut out in a minute here. So I have the denim dress all done, so I'm going to use the same scissors and go ahead and cut out the second little arm here. And then, like I mentioned, I left the little edge of the shirt dress on there so that that can be what actually shows when we put this together. So to add everything onto the piece, I'm just using liquid glue. I like liquid glue to do this because it's kind of a very specific area, so you have better control over where you're putting the glue. And also because it is liquid, it gives you a few minutes to kind of position everything and line everything up and put it together. So I put the dress on first, and then I tucked the arm underneath of the dress so that the edge of the sleeve is showing and then the arm is showing. So now you can see I have this cute little girl image. She's wearing a denim dress and everything is pieced together perfectly, and you can't even tell that it's 3 different layers that we've put together. So now that she's all pieced together, we're going to use the coordinating die and cut her out, and then comes the fun part to assemble all of the stuff on the card to create the scene. So I'm using the I'm Tweed on You stamp set, and I stamped and die cut the branch from that set. I'm using the new Birdhouse's Dynamics. I have the Radiant Sun, the Puffy Clouds, and then I also have the Grassy Edges Dynamics. So I cut out all of these different pieces, and we're going to put everything onto this background piece and create the scene. So for the background piece, I had a piece of white cardstock, and I just added some blue distress ink to that cardstock piece, and I added a little bit of water to distress it a little bit, and then I let that completely dry before we add our scene onto it. For the grass, I adhered it directly to the background piece and the sun as well. I stamped the sentiment using a sentiment from the Happy Together stamp set. And then for the branch, I completely covered that one in foam adhesive so that it would kind of be elevated off the card. And then I'm going to do the same with the little birdhouse. I put some foam adhesive on the back of that, and I'm just adding the little piece onto the top of this, and then I'm going to add a string as well. And this is going to allow me to position the birdhouse and make it look like it's hanging from the branch. So I just used some natural twine, and then I added some glue onto the top of the branch, and I adhered that on there. And now I'm just finishing the scene by adding the clouds. I'm doing 2 of the clouds directly onto the panel with tape runner, and then I'm adding some foam adhesive to the 3rd cloud to give it a little bit of dimension, and I'm going to adhere that over top of the middle cloud there. And then for the girl, I'm going to use some tape runner on her as well. I was going to use foam adhesive, but I decided to leave her flat on the card, and I'm kind of tucking her into the grass so it looks like she's sitting inside the grass area. And then once I have her adhered down, that is going to finish our cute little scene, and we have this adorable scene on the card, and she has this really cute paper piece denim dress on. So just a really great way to kind of really step up that stamp and make it look even more fun. Huge thank you to Barbara for creating this card and letting us recreate it in today's video. If you would like to check out more videos from this release classes, please click on the screen. And as always, I appreciate you being here, and I will see you in the next video.